All right, so we are good to go. So the first thing it has us doing is voting as to which way we would go if we were Doug. Should he accept the offer from Turn Inc. or should he continue towards round A financing? And we kind of talked about it before. So my vote would be that he continue towards the round A financing and turn down the offer from Turn Inc.
I absolutely agree with that.
I agree too.
And was yours the same, Andrea?
Yeah, I thought that he should not go.
All right. So, and then the next question says, those who think he should accept the offer, why? So since nobody in our group thought that he should accept the offer, what are some of the reasons that maybe would sway him to accept the offer?
Well, he's never started a business himself before, and he doesn't like taking risk and making big decisions for a company. And he was anxious. Well, the $2 million of stock, he said was very tempting to him, and he knew that his wife would like immediate money as well.
Yeah, and as I thought about it, I was thinking about what I would do because, like several of you, I have a family, and so really, what it's about is supporting your family. And is it worth taking the risk to try and get more money, or is it better to just kind of get out right now while you're ahead instead of taking the possible risk of losing money? And making it harder on your family. So that was another thing that I thought about from my perspective is it would be hard to turn down that money, especially since you know that it's money in your hand and it would be very helpful to support your family. But on the other hand, the risk could be really worth the reward if it plays out the way you expect it to. So.
Yeah,
word for word, I mean, how I felt about it. That would be, oh man, having a young family, that would be tempting though. That really would.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope to face that dilemma someday. That would be nice.
Okay, so so we already kind of talked about why we felt he should take the offer, but I think now that we're actually going and recording, let's kind of talk about those again. So I think one of the big reasons is his investors. So the fact that they're all really wanting him to keep going, and they're not ready to cash in at this point. They see the potential in the company, and it did make a comment in the case study that if it went to Turn Inc., that it wouldn't get as large of a spread of the market as if he continued to do it. It would become more of a specialized section of the market. And so his whole goal was to change the market altogether, where if he were to settle with buying out or selling out, then he wouldn't reach his ultimate goal.
I thought too, one of the factors that I thought was important was Shields, because he chose him as his CEO. And even though Cosman doesn't have very much experience, the Shields guy does. He's grown a lot of businesses and started business, and one of the businesses that he co-founded, he grew with like the fundraising and everything, and was able to sell it down the line for $530 million. And so I think he definitely has the potential to, grow this company as well and help with that. He knows how to do it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that as well. And it's kind of interesting because as I was reading this case and that question in specific, I was thinking about a company that I interviewed for my internship, and they're actually in Boulder as well. So it's a tech company in Boulder, and they've created a software. It's called NutriSlice is the name of the company, and they do menus. They do menus and automated systems for school districts for their lunch programs.
Did you say NutriSlice? My brother-in-law's brother owns that company.
Okay. Who's your brother-in-law?
Jeff Craig. Mike Craig is his brother.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I actually met with Mike, and it was kind of interesting because he did something similar to this. Him and one of his buddies started the company, and it was actually as I talked to Mike and interviewed with him, the timing just wasn't right, or else I probably would have worked with them. But the timing just didn't work out for us, and so. But it's a really, really great company, and Mike started it because of his father worked for the school district. And felt like there definitely was a big need. And so they started the company, but he didn't feel like he could run the company. And so he brought in one of his buddies as the CEO. And so he did a similar thing, and they were co-founders of the company. And that last year they were on Inc. 500 or 5,000's top growing company, top tech companies in the United States.
Wow.
So, I mean, as I thought about this case, I thought about that too. And you play to people's strengths. So like you were saying, he didn't feel like he could do it, but he brought in somebody that he knew could do that.
Yeah. Which I thought was really good that he was able to recognize his limitations.
Yeah.
What was the name of that company?
It's NutriSlice.
Oh, NutriSlice. That's a pretty cool story.
But yeah, they're actually a really cool company, and they're still not huge, but they're growing, and they've got a large percent of the market share in one market, and they're actually looking at going into another market. So that was kind of cool as well.
Awesome.
So the next question is, how much money will Doug receive? As a group, realize that it is likely that nobody had a full or correct answer to this question. So it says, since half of the buyout offer is in cash, you would need to treat it as a cash sale and give the investors 2 times the investment in cash. So 2 times the investment in cash. Since half of the buyout is in preferred stock, you need to treat that portion of the buyout as stock and give the investor 25% of their proceeds from the preferred shares. So this is actually a part that I missed, which you guys were talking about it. Sounds like you guys.
That's where I saw that 2 million dwindling pretty quick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When everybody,
let me pull up my spreadsheet here. Yeah, because the angel investors. So it looks like, based on this, the money would go away before he really got any of it.
right.
Because the first angel investor invested 175,000. The second investor, or the second and third investors, invested 700 and almost 70,000. And then the third and fourth investor invested 417,000.
Yeah, he wouldn't get it any.
Oh yeah, that would be gone. It would be gone.
So yeah, based on that, he basically wouldn't get any money out of the sale, is what it sounds like to me.
I found it interesting because it really did seem like maybe it was just the way that the case was written to kind of sway you one way or the other. But he made it sound like it would immediately it would change their lives, like as if they were going to have the full $2 million in cash. But yeah, when you look at those numbers, his wife better not have told him to do that, because that would be a bad move.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hadn't paid attention to that either. So, but yeah, that wouldn't have done them any good.
It would
That'd
be
be
bad if he.
Instantly get twice their investment.
It would have been sad though if he didn't realize it, you know.
I know.
Yeah.
And sold and then find out that he actually owes people money.
Oh, that would be the worst. That's when you go back to school for business.
Yeah.
So you don't do that again.
Okay, so question 7, it says, discuss as a group, how much does Shields deserve? Why does Washing want Doug to reject the turn offer? Won't Washing get a pretty good return on his investment? Why hold out for more? How much does Washing give up if Doug gives Shield 50% of the equity? So first of all, how much of the company do you think that Shields would be entitled to if he does come on as the CEO?
Well, he said in there that he wouldn't do it less than 50%. It wasn't worth it.
Yeah, the 50-50 split.
So, which I think he would deserve that if he's doing all the fundraising and doing all the work
and running
like
it.
that. Yeah, which sounds like he would be doing a ton of work.
Yeah, and as I thought about it, there's really two sides to every company. So there's the business side of it, and that's the fundraising and the marketing and running the business. There's that side of it, and then there's the production side, especially when you have a technology company. So there's the production side where they develop the software and they have the engineers. So there's really two sides of it. So Doug has really done the engineering side of it and making sure that the product is good to go, but has kind of not done as much on the business side of it. And so the business development would fall onto Shields. And so for that case, for that reason, I feel like he should be brought in as a partner and should receive 50% because he basically is building that side of the business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me just a second. I'll be right back.
What part of Utah do you live, Poet?
I live in Provo.
Oh, cool. You're
Mhm.
moving there in the fall.
Are you really?
Yeah, my husband's gonna go to the BYU MBA program.
Awesome.
So very excited.
Yeah.
I have a guy in my ward. He's doing that right now, but he's commuting from Rexburg down there every week and then coming back on the weekends.
Why don't they want to move?
Well, because he has his company based here,
Okay.
and then his wife and kids and all that. So, like, he has a shop and they manufacture all these custom shelves that they sell to like restoration hardware and stores like that. So, to like, I know it's got to be brutal.
Yeah, that's.
So I don't know if he's going to stick with it, but
I'm excited.
it's a pretty.
Well, it's a pretty.
Have you guys always lived in Colorado?
No, I grew up in Logan, Utah.
Okay.
I met my husband on campus at BYU Idaho in Rexburg.
Awesome.
And then, yeah, we've moved around a lot, and so now we're currently in Colorado. But I'm excited for the program too. Like, it's supposed to be pretty rigorous, but they have like a spouse association where all the spouses get together a few times a week and do fun activities. So
Oh, that's cool.
me and my baby will have a fun time.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, so I'm back. So were there any other thoughts on how much, what was it, how much shield should be given as part of that?
Let me just read up on this one more time.
I agree with the 50%.
Yeah, because
That's what they were hoping for.
I see it as a way that Cosman doesn't really, I mean, he cares about it, but as he said before, he's not good at leading a company or being a leader. So he doesn't really care about taking over a whole company. So for him, getting the $2 million is like enough. And that's like, and he's getting it cash, so pretty much he's set. So I would think that Shields he would get at least half of the company because he's the one building it, as Ozzy said.
Yeah. So if they do a 50-50 split, what's Cosman's actual ownership going to be? Because I mean, he's got investors and they're going to be wanting some type of equity share, right? So he's going to be less than 50%.
Yeah, if I did my numbers correctly, after the third round, he would basically have 14% of the company.
Oh yeah. Wow.
How did you get your numbers?
So I used the chart that was on Exhibit 4.
Okay.
It was the capitalization table that was there, and then I used the data that was given to us in the actual analyzation questions part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and so give me my battery on my laptop, so I've got to go take it upstairs real quick. And then let me pull this up and I can.
Uh-oh.
Did we lose him?
Yeah, and he's the one recording it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I don't
Must
know
have
if we'll have
died.
to do it in 2 segments or not.
Oh.
Okay.
Are we still recording,
I'm back,
Daniel?
yeah.
That didn't cut it off?
Nope, it's still going. But yeah, so let me just pull this up and I'll share my screen. And you guys can see the capitalization table that I did. And like I said, I hope this is correct. I ran all the numbers, but it may or may not be 100% correct. So, but yeah, so this is the table here. So this was at the, so I have it broken up. So this is the very beginning. So you had, they said that they set aside a pool of 1,600,000 shares. And that's for employee options down the road. And then Doug and Tom would split. So it would be 50% ownership of or they would each have 50% ownership of the rest. So that would bring them to 4,166,000 shares each. And then this is where they convert the shares to actual equity. And so at the end of it, once they've converted to equity, so you have technically your 4 angel partners, and then they convert it. They're able to convert it at 38 cents, because it was the 50 cents was the offer from Sequel Venture Partners, and then that was 25% discount, gives us 38 cents. And so because of that, here's the shares that that each of the partners has, and the percentage of ownership.
Okay.
And then I did round 2, so that just added on. So with round 2, I think it said in the case study that it would double the amount raised. So what I did was I took the total amount raised from Series A and doubled it. And then I just put round B venture capitalist for that one because it didn't give specific names. And then it said it would be at $1 a share. And so I put the valuation. So after seed round A, the valuation would have been $8 million for the company. After round B, it would have been $22 million for the company. And then as you can see here, I color coded it just to make it a little easier to see. But after round C, the company would be valued at $45 million. And then their shares would be $6 million each.
Wow.
So those are the numbers that I ran.
Sure.
What was that, Kip?
I said definitely don't sell out.
Yeah, it seems like it could have great potential. Like I said, that was the numbers from the case, and it said you may want to run them with more conservative numbers. So I left it at 50 cents on that one, and then I did change it for the next round to 75 cents instead of $1. And then that changes all of the numbers, and then that would also change. 75. It was supposed to be 75 cents. That makes a big difference. So, and if it were 75 cents the first round and $1.13 in the second or in the third round, then it would only be 4,687,000. But that's still better than walking away with a loss for sure.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well, if you compare it to Exhibit 5, compare it to the other companies that have or the same as Yeildex, I mean, it's really good. So yeah, it's a great business for sure.
Yeah, and they're still really early.
Yeah.
So they do have, if they have the right management, which I think it sounds like Tom definitely does have the skills to be the correct management, they could be a very, very good company in the future, and it could pay out huge for Doug down the road if they do a public IPO or something like that at some point.
Mm. Yeah.
And so it says, how much does Washing give up if Doug gives Shields 50% of the company? And I didn't run the numbers for that. But obviously it does dilute the overall. I mean, really it doesn't, because he split his shares. If I remember correctly, he split the founder's shares. So it wouldn't dilute Washing's any at all, because they were just splitting the founder's share. So instead of it being, what was it, 10 million shares, they would each get, or I don't remember specifically what the shares were. Does anybody remember that from the case?
Okay.
Wasn't it 100? Were you talking about the shares between the investors?
So how many shares Doug Cosman had at the beginning? I don't know that it ever said.
Okay. No, I didn't think it's. No, it didn't say.
Yeah, and then it just said that they split their shares, and so this is the information taken from exhibit. What was it? The exhibit 4, where it actually gave a breakdown. So that's where I pulled this data from. Was from exhibit 4.
Okay.
But if I understand it correctly, Washing doesn't get hurt by by Doug basically breaking up his percentage of the shares and giving him 50% because he's not adding any shares to the overall shares outstanding. He's just dividing his personal shares between him and Tom Shields. So,
oh yeah.
So that was my understanding on it. Obviously, Washing would have done really well if he would have sold out to True, or what was it, True Inc.
Turn.
Turn Inc. He would have done really well because he would have doubled his investment. But I think he really sees the value in keeping the company going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, can Doug use the turn offer to his advantage even if he rejects it?
Well, it's not like he could use it to get a better offer because now he's going to grow the company and get it and make it a lot better. Would it benefit him if he counter offered with like letting Burns be an investor or something?
I think it does give him an advantage when he goes to actual investors. He can say, look, I've already gotten an offer for this amount of money for our company. So obviously somebody else sees this much value in it.
Yeah.
So that may be definitely an advantage. And it did say that he was close friends with the owner of Turn Inc. So as long as he keeps that relationship, it could lead to something else bigger down the road too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. If he was able to get a counter offer, and he could always go back to Turn Inc. and get him to put out a little bit more, and then just call it. But you're right, though. With one offer already on the table, it does definitely help him out. So that's probably the hardest part to get that first one.
Yeah, so having that offer on the table definitely does help in getting round A funding because they already have a proof of concept that somebody else thinks that it's a good business.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, so in here it says read case B as a group. Vote, should Tom hire Barr? Yes or no? So let's see. Does everybody want to, should we read that out loud, or does everyone want to just pull it up and we'll read it real quick individually?
I read it before. I don't know if you guys have.
The case B?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read the case B yet.
No, me neither.
You guys, I guess, read it by yourself.
Sorry, guys.
It's all good. We were just individually reading the case B
Okay.
that was listed under the discussion questions.
Okay.
All right, so is everybody ready to discuss it?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm almost done.
All right, so do you think he should hire Bart or not?
He's got a pretty valid reservation. I mean, yeah, the guy's had success, but if he's not familiar with the platform, that's kind of a big hindrance right there. I mean, I don't know how long it would take to be proficient with the platform, but if he's completely unfamiliar with it, that's not really a big help.
Yeah, the way I kind of see it is he's acting as a production manager on it. Have any of you taken a production management class, supply chain production management?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so one of the sort of things, Andrea, if you have anything to add, jump in. But one of the things in that class that they talked about is managing projects. And in the class, when I took it, there was a video of a guy that was a well-renowned project manager. And he was saying that you don't have to have expertise on the field you're working in, as long as you know how to manage a team and manage the tasks to make sure everything's getting accomplished when it needs to be accomplished within the budgets and everything else. So really it's about managing the team and managing those that do know what they're doing, is really what production management is all about. So from that perspective, as long as he has those skills, he could be very successful in that position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
It sounds like he kind of got rubbed the wrong way, because it sounds like Cosman got rubbed the wrong way, because knowing that he's not that what's his name? Barr is not totally dialed on it, but then he was starting to question the skills of some of the employees that were already working on it. I think maybe that kind of burned him a little bit, but no, I totally see your point.
I think they also needed one at the moment. So either way, they needed one. I mean, it wasn't really up to him to choose or not. I mean,
sounds like he's definitely qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other part of it that stood out to me was it said that he would report directly to Shields. So he wouldn't be reporting to Cosman. He would be reporting to Shields, if I remember, or if that I understood that correctly. So really, that's the relationship that needs to be strong. Is if Shields feels like he can work with Barr, that's who he, because that's their direct chain of command. So if they're not able to work together, then that could lead to an overall breakdown in the company. So that's really what has to be strong, is that that Tom Shields is able to work with him.
Yeah.
It looks like Shields likes him, so he's ready to hire.
Yeah.
And Cosman respects Shields' position, so he supports him.
Yeah, he also supports Washing, and Washing was the one who recommended him. So that was the other piece of it that kind of does have a little bit of sway in it. But
And I'm sure a guy like that, I mean, you're right. He doesn't have to be an expert at the platform, but I mean, someone with his background, I'm sure he'll get in there within a month or two. He'll be really up to speed.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna. You're right. I don't think it'll be a problem.
all right, so case C. And then it says, what does do the right thing for the company mean? Should Tom fire Doug? Does Yeildex need Cosman anymore? What value does Doug bring to the company now that they have his algorithm? How does Doug have, or how could Doug have avoided getting into this situation? Do you want to change your minds about the buyout now?
Well, what I get that from is that Tom basically just pulled Cosman out of everything now. He's taken the whole, like he's managing it now, so he doesn't really need Cosman anymore.
It looks like John wants Tom to take Cosman out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He doesn't need him anymore. He's like, okay, well, you already built it. You already said you wanted the $2 million. I'm the CEO. You say you're the CTO. And then Tom is like, which I should have.
Yeah, John.
So
John wants
basically,
the title for
like,
himself.
yeah. So he's like, oh, we don't need you anymore. You've done everything. You've done enough. So bye.
Yeah, so
That's like that's kind of like what happened to, like with JetBlue. Remember that they got rid of David Neilman, even though he was the CEO. The company said, "Well, we don't need you anymore. See you later," and they fired him. That would be a bummer.
yeah, and it does stink, especially since he turned in 20% of his shares. So now he only owns
40%.
40% of his original shares or whatever. So now he doesn't have as much say in the company. So Tom really does hold more equity ownership, and so therefore he has controlling interest in the company. So Tom now has control to say, you're out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
However,
Total backfire.
yeah, however, Doug would still continue to keep the shares that he currently has. So that he wouldn't lose his ownership in the company, but he would no longer have, he no longer has controlling interest. What was that?
I said he would no longer have his $170,000 a year salary.
Yep.
Which that's pretty significant.
Yeah. So do you think Doug should be fired?
I don't think so.
I think they should have a come to Jesus meeting with him if he's being disruptive and causing problems.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I think they need to have a big meeting before they just
Let him go.
get rid of him.
I think there needs to be an agreement more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same thing.
And they could promote John if he, if it looks like he should be promoted and he's doing well and all that stuff. But
Yeah,
It
maybe.
kind of reminds me of. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say maybe that's the answer right there. Is he holds the title of CTO, and maybe the best thing would be for him to give that up and do something else that he would be better at that point.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Apple with Steve Jobs in the early Apple. He built the company and really did a lot of the work with it. And then the investors came in and thought he was being too disruptive, and they cut him out of the company. And they got rid of him altogether. And then eventually they found out that was the wrong decision and brought him back. But it may be a similar situation. It may be that John Barr isn't the correct choice for that position, and he's actually the one that's causing problems. So they need to sit down and figure out what the base cause of the issue is.
Yeah, maybe he's aspiring to that, and you're right. There could be some deception going on for sure.
And in reality, there would be no company without Cosman. So
true. Yeah, those guys wouldn't even be talking about that if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he really is causing problems within the company and isn't willing to relinquish controls to John Barr that he needs to have, and he really is causing problems, then I think would be doing what's best for the company to get rid of him.
True.
Yeah.
So.
Which would be unfortunate for him.
Yeah, I think the big meeting needs to go down for sure.
Yeah. And for me, it doesn't change my mind about the buyout at all.
No.
Because he wouldn't have, after all the investors, he really wouldn't have made out with much money after the buyout anyways. So I think this really is the best option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too.
Absolutely.
All right. So in conclusion, we all came to the agreement that it was the best decision for him to turn down the offer from Turn Inc. And keep going towards the seed funding round. And then when it came to case B, we both thought that based on the information that was given, that John Barr seemed like he could have done a really good job in the position and should have been hired. And then when it comes to case C, we think that there needs to be a sit down where they discuss what the issues are and try and work them out through an actual meeting where they all work together. And if it all comes down to it that Doug really is causing problems and keeping the company from moving forward, then the best thing for the company would be to get rid of him.
Yes.
Agreed.
Is there anything anybody wanted to add?
Nope.
All right, so I'll go ahead and stop this.